In this sample problem, we're being asked to figure out the order of 4 genes and determine what the crossover frequency between E and R is. First thing we should check is if E and R are actually listed amongst the 5 variations that we have, but unfortunately, they are not. We see that we have a combination of white eyes and facet eyes. We have a combination of white eyes and echinus eyes, white eyes and red eyes, facet eyes, and echinus eyes and facet eyes and ruby eyes. What we're looking for is the frequency of crossover between the genes for facet eyes, or between the genes for echinus eyes and for ruby eyes. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to map this out. The way that mapping works is we want to list out each of the different gene frequencies that we're given so that we can figure out what the most likely way that they all fit together is. The key important things you want to look for with this is you want to start with the biggest crossover frequencies possible, and you want to look for things that add up to that crossover frequency. So we were told in our information that the crossover frequency between white eyes and ruby eyes is 6%. So the way I do this is I do this with a nice little number line. What we want to look for now is we want to look for 2 things that together are going to add up to that 6%. And if we take a look, we'll see that the white eye and facet eye is 1.5, and the facet eye and ruby eye is 4.5. Hey, look, 1.5 plus 4.5 gives us 6, and it contains both the white eyes and the ruby eyes. So we know that the facet eyes has to be somewhere in the middle. So the distance between the white eye and the facet eye is 1.5. So we want our next line diagram to go about 1/4 of the way. White eyes is going to be on our left-hand side, just like before. And facet eyes gives us 1.6. And then facet eyes to ruby eyes gives us 4.5. Okay, that is quite useful. That gives us some useful information. We now know where the facet eyes are located. And that's going to be quite helpful for us because we see that the distance between the facet eyes and the echinus eyes is 2.5 as well. So when we look at facet eyes and echinus eyes, that tells us that the distance between them is 2.5. Now that could be on either side of that facet eyes in the middle. But we also see that we have the distance between the echinus eyes and the white eyes as 4.0. And there's only one way we're going to be able to arrange this to make that work. Because if we take a look, 1.5 plus 2.5 is 4.0. So if we go facet eyes to echinus eyes, that's about 2.5. And then white eyes to echinus eyes has to be oriented this way in order to give us a 4.0. Now, this isn't quite to scale, but what this does do is now we can see how everything is ordered. We can see that we have the white eyes on one end, then we have the facet eyes, then we have the echinus eyes, then we have the ruby eyes. So the way that I like to do this is I just drag everything down into one final number line. Now, like I said, Because I'm just sketching this out, it doesn't end up being quite to scale, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. So we see that white eye to facet eye gives us 1.5. Facet eye to acheneus eye gives us 2.5. We have used up 4, and we need to fill in the last space between acheneus eye to ruby eye. That gives us a crossover rate of 2%. If we go back to our original question, that tells us that the correct answer to this question will be B,